And we are an assembly of people who will teach each other to find the miracle of joyful living from life's circumstance. So be welcome. Each week we will have a discussion topic, and we will do announcements, and then we will do healing. So I'm going to do announcements first so that we can get the business out of the way. There's a little bit to discuss because, as some of you know, last week we introduced the idea of nominations for our board of directors. So excited. To discuss a little bit what it means to be a member, because members are allowed to be nominated, and members are allowed to attend our annual general meeting scheduled for February 19th to elect your board of directors. In order to qualify as a member, we have a long list of qualifications. Really, you just have to have been in attendance regularly for 6 months. That's it. So if you've been with us since about August, you are welcome to be nominated. And you are welcome to attend and vote. Otherwise, you are welcome to continue attending, and you don't have to contribute necessarily unless you want to. The annual general meeting RSVP sheet is back on the table. If you would please write your name down if you're intending to attend, so that we can make sure there's enough food for everyone. And the nomination slips are inside the box that's open right now, and you can see orange. The other thing to note is that our regular white bucket for donation collection is not present this week, but there is a little pastry box, which I thought was kind of cute because we are collecting dough. You are invited to make a contribution of $5 to help us support the ongoing costs of a growing church and the rental of this space. If you do donate this week, please write your name on the top of the box with the amount of money so that we can keep track, and hopefully when we become a charity later on, we will be able to issue receipts. What else did I want to announce? Right, the green box I think is the most important. It's the discussion topic box, where I invite you to think about what it is that you would like to discuss and write it on a piece of paper, because this is your assembly, and I would love it for it to be relevant to what you are facing in your life and would like to discuss. Do we have more chairs? Good morning. We continue to collect awakening stories. If you would like to submit the story of how you came to realize you were a conscious co-creator of your experience rather than a victim of arbitrary fate and circumstance, I would love it if you would submit that to admin@hummingbirdAssembly.com. We will collect these stories, and the idea is to eventually create an ebook so that people who are going through the awakening process don't feel quite so alone. I know how important it was when we started this group, and there used to be like 3 or 4 of us on the regular, to share our stories of how we explored ourselves. And now that we're a much larger group, we can clearly see we're not alone. But those of us who are interacting online needs that kind of reassurance, and that's what we intend to do with that ebook. So if you would like to submit, I have 2 whopping stories, guys, and I've been asking every week for a year. So anytime anybody in the room wants to write something, I would love to have them. No pressure. All right, and now that all the business is out of the way, shall we begin with our opening intention? You are invited to read aloud along with us out loud, or you can just follow silently. And if you don't have a piece of paper, I'm sure your neighbor is happy to share with you. May I come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that my attitude will affect outcomes, that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May I come to trust that most things can get better with time, that my instincts and gut feelings have value, and that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. May I come to see that I have many skills and talents I can use, that I am a positive influence on many people, and that there are those around me who wish me well. May I come to value that today is a blessing to be enjoyed, that each person is unique and important, and that each moment of my life has meaning. So today we continue our exploration of the universal laws. And the goal is to discuss 2 laws a week, but I don't know if we're going to get all the way through the first one today, because it's a good one. You're going to love it, Jacqueline. I'm glad you're here. Where are you? There you are.
Well, I had the difficulty other 2 that you did last week.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I blinked twice, like going, okay.
Yeah, it was good. It's good. So the law we're going to begin with here is the law of free will. The law of free will operates in 3 ways. Although many of the major events in your life are astrologically predestined, you always have free will to mitigate the impact of the event, or to transcend it entirely. This will result from how you live your life up to the situation you have destined for yourself to experience. If you give grace and mercy to others, are positive, loving, compassionate, and demonstrate by your action that you have learned these past lessons, you can minimize the disharmonious experiences. The second way it operates: as you obtain the master of life awareness and develop conscious detachment, you will be far less affected by worldly events than in the past. A master of life enjoys all the warmth and joy that life has to offer, but detaches from the negativity by allowing it to flow through you without affecting you. And the third way: you always have free will in how you respond to any situation. If you respond with positive emotions, compassion, and integrity, you've probably learned your karmic lessons and will not have to experience a similar situation in the future.
Can you read that last bit again? No, start over. The whole thing.
I was like, really? Just the last part?
No, the whole thing. The whole thing. Thank you.
Number one, although many of the major events in your life are astrologically predestined, you always have free will to mitigate the impact of the event or to transcend it entirely. This will result from how you live your life up until the situation you have destined for yourself to experience. If you give grace and mercy to others, are positive, loving, compassionate, and demonstrate by your action that you have learned these past lessons, you can minimize the disharmonious experiences. Do we want to discuss that now, or shall I continue with points 2 and 3? You ready to discuss?
I just want to have a comment.
Okay.
So what's the difference between going with what we're supposed to do, being guided to that as our, what, besides the free will? So we have free will to make a change. So we're going, okay, should we do this? What's free will? Discussing it and changing it, or just going with the flow from what we're supposed to do? Like, how do you know what the difference in free will is?
Isn't it a choice regardless?
It's a choice.
Which is free will.
So how do we know which one? How do we know it's a free?
We don't know the how.
Oh, it always comes back to that.
Is it questioning it becomes, okay, this is free will because now I'm discussing it. Should I do this or do that? Or do we just do what comes
Right. Oh, 10 minutes. Look at that. Okay. So I think you're asking a chicken and egg question.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the how is.
An answer that we won't ever know.
Okay.
And the challenge of being a seeker of truth is to understand when we must just accept and when we must understand. Like I've shared so many times that my largest lesson in the last 2.5 years has been, I must let go of my need to understand.
Have a little faith.
Just what time is it? Not how do I build the watch so I can figure it out.
Because it gets
Right?
so deep. I know. I'm sorry.
No.
wanted
I don't think you need to apologize. I think it's a very sound question.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are wondering the same thing. So thank you for giving voice to the question in the room.
Thank you, Angela.
And rest in the knowledge too that whatever decision you go with is the right one.
That's a hard one though, isn't it?
It is, but it's right. Doesn't matter which one you choose. It's the right
I
decision.
agree that that is a fundamental principle,
Yes.
but it's very easy to say
I think I made the wrong choice.
that I will trust that I'm doing the right thing.
Oh yeah, it's easy to say it.
It's something else to do
To
it.
live it,
Yeah.
to just trust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're living in harmony, it's easier. Like if you have that balance and you're living a harmonious life, does it become easier to trust that you're making the right choice no matter what choice you're
So
making?
again, I think it's a chicken and egg proposition. Does the harmony come because you allow yourself to relax and simply trust that I can't make a mistake because whatever I do is right? Like, even just saying that sentence, I want to burst out laughing.
I think the most difficult thing is when you make free will and you end up in a situation that's really, really difficult or really, really would appear to be harmful to yourself and thinking that I made this choice and trying to wrestle with how did I do that? Why did I do that?
Well, you have to not beat
Can you
yourself
speak
up.
louder because we can't hear you? Sorry.
Well, you can't hear.
We can.
I can't. So I was saying that I think sometimes the free will is difficult to come to terms with when you get yourself in a situation that you're either feeling like you're of harm to yourself, or like you put yourself in an abusive situation, or you put yourself
Right.
in something, maybe a job that's demeaning or something like that, and then wrestling with that. I put myself here. Why did I put myself here? How do I get out of here? Can I get out of here? And all those types of stuff.
Or what's the lesson I'm here for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or why did I need to go through this too, right?
And
Why
well-
all will.
And I do have the free will to change the situation I've created.
The trick, though, is to acknowledge that
Yeah.
you are causing yourself to be the victim,
Mhm.
right? Like we call for experiences that confirm what we believe about ourselves. So if we believe ourselves to be victims, we will subconsciously, intentionally seek out situations that confirm we are a victim. And until we recognize that is a choice we are making, whether consciously or not, we are choosing to be the victim, we won't move out of that cycle of abuse.
Right. But do you have to be a victim in that? Like when it comes to...
Well, when you say, I choose to no longer be a victim, it shuts down the energetic exchange, which creates the experience.
I think a lot of times though, when people get themselves in that kind of situation, they judge themselves too often,
Oh,
which keeps them stuck in it instead of rising above it and seeing that I do have choice. and I
because
can
we're
decide.
trying to understand, right?
Mhm.
It comes back to that wanting to understand. Am I conscious of what I learned? I would say understanding what you learned is way less important than knowing I don't want this anymore.
The other thing though too is we're too conditioned throughout our entire lifetime to judge us or judge others or judge situations. So a lot of times you get in those things and you're so busy judging yourself. You got to get out of that and just let grace and ease and just allowing things to
Yes.
pass and then making that determination and moving on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think judging yourself is all part of that victimhood. Because you're still living in that. I am a victim and I cannot change my circumstances. I forget what I was going to say now. It's gone.
But often we wind up there, right? That we feel like there's no alternative. What could I possibly do if I don't do this?
Yeah.
Where would I go? How would I eat?
Yeah.
I would lose my house if I leave the job.
And I think too, so often as victim, there's reward. And that reward feels
Oh,
good.
let's explore that.
You're getting
Secondary benefits.
you're getting lots of extra attention because, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for what you're
Yeah.
going through.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good in it too. And you gotta get past that and realize.
A lot of people call that secondary gains. They're not the first gains, but they're the secondaries. So the secondary gains are what usually keeps people stuck in their dramas,
Right.
right? It's the attention and everybody's the pity parties. And,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I won't mention names or relations, but there is someone in my life who is a victim and has been a victim since the day she was born. She's always played victim. And it's so interesting to interact with her because her voice says, oh, I'm over it all. But wow, when you watch her interact and how she responds to the rewards, she's not over it. It's just an interesting dichotomy to see the ego part of her and the other side of her, the spiritual side.
ego or is that want? She wants to be over it, so she says she is because your thoughts and your words are things, and maybe she's planting seeds for the day where she is over it.
I think want is ego, but anyway.
That's what I was thinking. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But we talk about how your thoughts and your words are seeds that you're planting for the experience. And so don't you have to speak, okay, I'm okay, in order for you to transcend and become okay?
You have to
And
believe
don't we
that.
have to accept people saying, I'm okay, when we know, dude, you are so not okay. Don't we have to accept it so that they can begin to harvest that okayness?
I think you have to believe that, though. Like if you're speaking the words and they're just coming out and you're lying to yourself and you're lying to other
Exactly.
people, then those words are,
Well, I think that the person who's in that position has to get to a point where they realize spiritually that they're not getting anything from this. Lessons are learned, move on. But until you get there.
well, I think it's interesting in the discussion here where we're talking about making choices, and we as humans focus on the wrong choices. We don't pat ourselves on the back for the good choices all the time.
Right.
So we're making multiple choices throughout the
Every
day,
moment. Yeah.
and we only focus on those ones where we have regret.
Yeah.
Plus, I kind of like to point something out. I think we judge other people, like maybe in one area of our life we're really good, but in another area we suck. So with the area that we're good, we'll judge other people. Well, I'm good at being a mother, let's say. I'm not a mother, but let's use an example.
Yeah.
I'm good at being a mother. So we'll judge someone else, oh, they're a terrible mother. Because we're coming from the place, well, I'm a good mother, which yes is ego stuff, and ego likes to feel superior. But I think, well, I don't know. I just find in our society, I understand victimhood and self-pity because I've been trapped in that and I'm getting out of that now. But one thing that I observe is I don't see a lot of compassion in our society.
Right.
And another observation I'm going to make, which I cannot believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but how many of us can look at Trump with compassion? You know what I mean? There's like, it's easy to look for compassion for a starving child or whatever.
Right.
But looking at people who are really doing terrible things in our society or are taking action that are detrimental to other people to a great, that they're like being compassionate for someone. Like there was someone here a few weeks ago who'd been assaulted and she learned how to forgive the person who assaulted her. And I thought, wow, that's a really big lesson. Like that if she achieved that. And I'm thinking, you know, like I just think in our society, there's a lot of, well, from my superior point of view, this is what you should do to fix your life.
Definitely.
You're this, you're that.
But here's what I'd say. You only see the world to the level of which you have arisen. So you see the world through your own lens, your own filter.
Yeah, and everybody does. Too,
Yes.
You know? And everybody has a
Yes.
totally different lens.
Yes. And you will only see and understand what you are capable of seeing and understanding, or what you desire to see and understand. So going back to your point, if we're only ever talking about the negative and the awful, regretful decisions that we've made, our filter is negative and regretful. So you asked who has compassion for Trump, and you put up your hand, but most of us laughed, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have compassion for him. Like I just
Right.
said, who does?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even like
Yeah.
hearing his name. My husband starts talking about him and I just look at him like, I don't want to hear this anymore.
But here's the thing, that which triggers you and what triggers you most highly is that which you need to face.
Oh, I already know that.
And the only way
Yeah,
you're going
I
to
know.
raise him up is to give him the compassion and the grace that he needs so that he can grow. Hopefully grow. He has that opportunity or that arena to grow. But if we all condemn him and keep sending him all this anger.
I don't, what I focus on is that the people who have compassion for others are gathering and getting together and focusing on doing uplifting things.
Yeah.
So I focus on that. I really try not to focus on what he's doing or thinking about it because then I just get angry and
Just
angry.
bring more
So
life.
I literally been trying to say, okay, picture groups coming together, picture peaceful protests.
Focus on the change.
Focus on the
Yeah.
She
positivity.
didn't say that.
That's
He's
what
the
I
one
was-
that's caused this. So there's something good coming from his presidency.
Absolutely.
People are rising up because of what he's doing. I think that's fantastic.
Rising with compassion.
Absolutely.
They're the ones all coming together,
Amazing.
making a difference, showing
Yeah.
people that there is hope. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's good to keep an eye to what he's doing because that you can be detached with what's going on. It gives you an idea of where to focus your energies. So if you see he's doing like signing all these immigration orders, then being detached from it, you can send love into that situation so that maybe it can correct itself. And it did. Judge overturned it, and now it's going to have to go to the appeals court. So, you know, that kind of stuff. Just remaining detached and sending the love into it is a good thing.
And isn't that this part here where it says, and demonstrate by your action that you've learned the lesson? Like this is that action.
And the other thing I want to mention too is that we don't know, like so a lot of times we judge people for what's going on in their lives or maybe they're being victims or whatever, but we don't know what oaths, obligations, contracts, karma, things that they came into this life to experience, to do. So we just have to give them the
Which
grace.
again is the point that, you know, we see the world only as we see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Give them the grace that they're doing what they need to do. If you don't like that, then you've got to back away and practice discernment.
Is that door closed?
Yeah.
So you're not judging the person. You're just saying that this situation's not something I want to practice in or play in.
Yeah.
I let them go with love and grace,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do something else with somebody else.
So I think that's what you're talking about here in number 2. As you obtain master of life awareness and develop conscious detachment, I think that's what you're discussing, you will be far less affected by worldly events than in the past. A master of life enjoys all the warmth and joy that life has to offer, but detaches from the negativity by allowing it to flow through you without affecting you.
And in that point, I always go back to Matt Kahn and what he says about how when, I know I love him, sorry. I have to take a moment for Matt Kahn. How he says when world events happen, if you're not triggered by it, it's because you're holding a peace. You're holding a peace within you. And I love that thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's exactly what you've been saying.
Yeah.
And also another point is that we draw to us what we put out.
Mm-hmm.
So these people who are being affected by what Trump is doing, they also have a vibrational input into what has been happening to them. Or am I
For sure.
way off base there?
No, I think,
So they're not really totally victimized by him in the way that we're seeing, because their energy actually drew them into this.
so what I think we're seeing happening in the United States is the awakening of a person. And the person is the United States of America.
Yeah.
And part of awakening is reviewing all of the things you've done in your life that you are not happy about, all the places where you are regretful, all of your darkest corners, and making peace with that aspect of you and forgiving, okay, forgive me for that moment. I forgive me for that moment. I took this from that moment. I've learned how to be that person. And what doing that analysis allows for is the development of compassion, which is really what an awakened state is. You are just compassionate for the world.
This has been prophesized a long time ago. I'm not sure by who, but that there was going to be a big spiritual awakening was going to happen in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Although you had said before that, we have a huge shift coming up, that we have to all rise a certain amount or whatever percentage you were saying. We had only, what did you say? 10%?
I'm not really sure what I'm saying.
Degrees.
Oh, the planetary
And we
evolution.
still have like 90 to go or 80 to go or something like that. So if you think about Trump and the mass movements
Yeah.
that are happening afterwards, that is a huge because you said it would have to go like,
That'll be painful.
yeah. But think about it, that's like,
Here we are,
yeah,
in the thick of the pain.
yeah,
The tipping point.
that's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. The tipping point. Okay, so number 3, and this is the part that you wanted me to repeat earlier. We haven't got back there.
Right.
You always have free will in how you respond to any situation. If you respond with positive emotions, compassion, and integrity, you have probably learned your karmic lessons and will not have to experience a similar situation in the future. So thinking about your comment earlier that we dwell on what we are regretful about, part of developing that compassion is exploring those choices that you think you should have done differently with and bringing compassion to them. And I don't know. I know that when we're in a place of ego, the words come up a lot today, which doesn't always. Everything is selfish. Why me? Here I am. How come? Want to understand, want to take it apart, want to make it better, want to make it right, get what I deserve, right? Whereas someone who is more spiritually evolved, who is less in the victim mode, and honestly, we fade in and out of both states, right? There are states where you feel full of grace and, oh, that's a terrible thing. You spilled that milk and destroyed my computer. And then there's the, I can't believe you did that. Like we flow in and out of these states. It's not, somebody asked us originally when we started discussing the universal laws if enlightenment was like an end goal. And I really don't think that it is. I really think it's a state we move in and out of. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, bringing back to your comment about being wrapped up in those thoughts.
case in point about your talking about moving towards enlightenment is a state that we fade in and out of. When you do research on like biographies of Master Jesus and Mother Teresa and a lot of the saints like that they too had dark days.
Of course.
No matter how enlightened they got into those different phases back and forth. So it allows us the grace and the permission to also have those dark days, no matter how far along you're on your journey.
But we need the contrast of the dark days as well, so that we may appreciate the light days when we get them. If we always lived in the light and never had the dark, we would never appreciate the light.
I don't know. I think that's true because you believe that to be true. But I think part of the human experience makes that true. That as we fade into enlightenment, every moment is truly beautiful. That's why we talk about celebrating the everyday miracle. It's those tiny moments of, my God, that's the most beautiful snowflake I've ever seen. Meeting your whole life with grace and joy. We experience the negative. We like contrast as human beings. But as spiritual beings, we don't need the contrast because spiritual beings are simply light.
I found last year, every day, like things, I helped my dad through a number of illnesses over a few years. And last year, it was like he had the best checkup. Everything was in control. Everything was wonderful. And every day I was bouncing off the walls in happiness and gratefulness.
Yeah.
And people going, okay, all right, enough already. Like, how much energy can one have? And it's like, oh my gosh, like I got through this life and I got through it each day because I kept saying we're going to get through this, and I was positive. And yeah, you can be happy every day and see the good in every day. You don't have to have bad things happen to appreciate the good days, because
which is part of what this is talking about, right? In free will, to minimize disharmonious experiences.
It's just how you look at things.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at, like, I look at people staying at a bus stop with their children and groceries, and I say, even now, all these years later, thank you so much for whoever, whatever, allowed me to have what we had, not to have that. I give people rides, but I never had to be the one standing at the bus stop and know what that's like, but I know it must not have been easy, or is easy for those that have to take a bus with little children or babies and strollers and little things like that. When I see those people that I didn't experience that, I feel their pain and I appreciate.
But I don't think they see it as painful, Jacqueline.
That's judgment.
I was that woman with strollers and babies on a streetcar, trudging through snow. And I didn't feel at all like I was in lack. I felt like, awesome, somebody's going to drive me to where I need to be.
Oh, I guess because I knew people that depended on that. And
I depended on that. I didn't have a license. I didn't have a car.
I'm just saying with them that appreciate, because they.
I always appreciated when my mom called and said, let me take you guys to the doctor's office. I never said no. I was like, that's amazing. But I didn't feel like, woe is me. Do you understand the difference?
Well, it's living a life of abundance as opposed to living a life of lack.
I felt so grateful to be in a city that had an exextraordinary transit system.
Exactly.
That was expensive, but I could get from where I needed to be in less time than it took people to find parking. Right?
But a lot of that is your laying an interpretation on it, that it's harmful or detrimental or difficult, or it's just an experience.
I just want to say we have about 11 minutes left for discussion. Do we feel like we have enough to continue speaking with the law of free will, or shall we move on?
Just one more thing to add.
Yeah.
With free will, we talk about our decisions, what we consider good or bad. Those decisions are true to who we are
at
that particular point. If we are feeling negative or if we're feeling positive, those decisions happen. But I think free will is really only tapped into when you have awareness of the situation. If you're truly aware of the impact of the choice becomes very easy and it just flows from you.
You think you can, I want to make sure I understood. You think you can only engage in free will if you are conscious that you have access to free will? Is that what you're saying? Because I think that's fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll take that answer.
Wow.
I'm sure your answer according to what you're going to say.
I think that's amazing. So free will doesn't exist for people who aren't aware that they have a choice?
Some people don't. Well, they can't make a choice. They don't recognize that there are choices.
But isn't every choice a
No,
choice?
sorry, don't know.
Like, are there two-tier choices? You
Is
know what I mean?
Is a habit a choice? Is an addiction a choice?
I would say yes.
I would, yeah, I think it is.
But while you're caught in it, you don't have the ability to recognize that you choose.
I don't know. I think from my own experience, I'm aware that what I'm doing is not advancing what I'm intending, and yet I feel like I don't care. I want the cupcake.
But some people don't have that
Right?
awareness.
I think a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts know that the decisions they're making have these kind of impacts, and they can't care about that because this right now is what I need. I think they're making a choice from the place that they're in, which is the best place they can be at this moment. And I think they spend so much time beating themselves up that they can't make a different choice to have a different experience because this is where I am right now. Is that not free will? You look confused, Annie.
That would be free will. I mean, if they were cognizant of the impact of their choice but chose to do it anyway, then sometimes we choose to do the easiest path, the path of least resistance. So if we're harming ourselves, we continue to harm ourselves because that's easier.
It's because it's known.
And it tastes good or something.
Yeah.
You know, if you're choosing cake and you know cake is not a good choice for you, you focus on how good it tastes.
Butter and that sugar. Come on, baby. Excellent choice for me.
It's the
Great, sister. I choose to love the cake.
And always two, because each end has one.
I think that's really fascinating. I'm not
It is interesting.
sure. Do we need to be consciously aware of having free will in order to enact it?
I think we need to stay on this topic.
I agree. Let's follow this rabbit
This is so.
down the hole.
I don't think so. I think we all have free will because we talked about the victim, and the victim stays in the victim mentality because they get the reward, where the person who has the addiction stays in the addiction because they get the reward.
Okay, I had a situation when I was like 16 years old where I didn't know that there were other options open to me. So I had no way of knowing that I could have made a free will choice to do something different. It was until years later that I was told, well, you were 16, you could have done this, this, this. I'm like, I didn't know that back then. So.
But were you asking the question in that moment?
Yes.
What else can I do?
Yeah.
And the answer was, this is the only this. Then I would say that was an exercise of free will because you asked the question, is there something else?
Yeah, I asked the question, I looked for all these other ways of trying to make the choice I wanted to make happen. And I was always met with a no. Granted, it was my parents who were not allowing me to make those choices at that time.
Parents and teenagers.
I didn't know that being 16, I was old enough to make that decision on my own. And I was just told, no, you're too young to make that decision, even though I had all these options where I could have made that decision. So in that moment, my free will choice was taken from me in my own mind, but I didn't know that I had those options that I could have.
So I feel like this is a whole new doorway. At what age does free will begin?
The Catholic Church tells you 7.
The Catholic Church does? Oh, right, because then we can be reconciled.
7 it is.
Confess our sins.
7.
Canon law knows. We'll just refer to canon law.
I knew you'd like that one, but
But really,
I'd say it's right that first.
because like in society, we say that you can choose who's going to run your country at 18, but you can't choose to drink until you're 19 or 21.
That's culturally quite different, right?
But where do these ideas come from, right?
Every nation has a different age threshold for when you are able to make those decisions. And even within Canada, right? The
Yeah.
age goes
From province to
18
province.
19.
Yeah, right when I was turning 19.
And when
18.
Oh, like it stopped you.
She exercised free will. Oh, like that stopped you, Kensa.
So we just expanded Bianca's whole statement. We went from Bianca and her situation to the whole country and culturally. So people make decisions for the benefit of other people. Does that preclude your free will, or does that limit?
People make
your
decisions
access?
for the benefit of other people, and does that preclude free will?
Isn't that
Good question.
you're choosing to make your decision based on somebody else?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Isn't that free will? You're choosing to base your decision or situation on somebody else.
I think when you look at free will, you also have to put it in comparison to resistance, the path of least resistance. It's always easier to, be like, I'll just choose that,
Okay, but let's bring it to a real world example. Decisions that other people have made. Taxes. Okay? And we can talk about income tax or we can talk about HST. Regardless, someone's decided we have to pay it. And to exercise our free will, can we choose whether or not we pay HST?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you can buy it
How?
on the black market. You can say, I'll pay you cash. I don't need a receipt. Here, no tax, I'll pay you cash, right? Or you can say, I'm happy to pay taxes because I appreciate all the
So you can say that to your hydro people?
Not to hydro, but in many situations otherwise. Like
In some,
yeah.
if you, in retail, if you want to purchase something, that's the only time. You can't negotiate when you get a mortgage or car insurance or anything of the necessities of life. But if you buy something through someone at a store or the flea market or wherever you may choose, that's when you can negotiate. I'll give you cash, but that's all you can.
Right.
You said yes, like really promptly.
Yes.
We actually don't have to pay tax. We actually don't. There's actually no, if you go into the actual statutes, you can be a free sovereign. You really actually do not have to pay tax.
If I become a
But
queen,
you have to carry a card to show to the retail.
But you
person
don't
that
know
it's them.
of the benefits of our society.
how do you do that?
I was going to say, how do you become that?
Native.
Yeah.
No, anybody
No.
can do it.
Anyone can do it. It actually, the whole income tax thing, yeah,
But
The whole-
income tax versus sales tax,
tax,
is it the
I know it's
same
different.
law?
I think it is.
Did you read in the paper the guy that just got nailed with $500,000 plus another million, $1 million? He avoided doing his taxes, and it was something like $2 million. So he paid $500,000 in fines and had to pay $500,000 in tax. So they catch up with you, and this was back to 2007.
But if you're
you
a
didn't do it.
sovereign,
If you're a sovereign,
Yeah.
you do not have to pay tax.
What's this?
It's interesting. I was in Niagara Falls for a conference recently, and they have in the hotels and restaurants a Niagara Falls tax.
yeah, which you can be
Yeah.
exempt
So
from.
I said, "What is this?" And they said, "Oh, that's just the Niagara Falls tourist tax." I said, "I don't want to pay that."
Mhm.
And he said, "Oh, okay,"
Mhm.
and went and took it off.
Ah,
No argument, no
Wow.
discussion. I just said, "I don't want to pay that." Oh, all right.
it's all optional.
And I brought back the bill minus that tax.
But did you try that with HST?
Crown has it
I
as
also
well.
don't want to pay the HST thing.
Did you try that with your HST? Did you try that with your HST? I don't want to pay tax. I won't pay that tax either.
Okay,
It's harder to argue because our society has
we
okayed,
accept it.
we've
Yeah.
accepted
Accept,
the tax thing.
But we also accept the benefits. of
That's
that
true.
tax.
That's right.
Yes,
Right.
fair enough.
And the right to complain about being taxed.
Yeah.
It's our
Free
choice.
will.
It is our choice to live in this society in the framework of Canada and all that it entails.
Yeah.
You could choose to move.
Or
You
Switzerland,
could,
where there's no taxes.
or you can choose
I could go to
live off-
Alberta where there's no provincial sales
Exactly.
tax.
You can move.
I could get a gun.
Choose to move to the middle of northern Ontario where I live incognito. I mean, you always have choices, right? But if you want to live in this society and benefit from the framework of the society.
And that's why I said yes so quickly, because I left the United States about 9 years ago, because I chose not to pay into that system to have people being bombed. I found a different place to be.
And you pay tax here, and
Yeah, well, first I
Unless you figured out like how we can get around it,
No.
because we're all here.
I mean, I could have stayed in the United States but left that society. I could have gone off grid. I could have found a society or a community that wanted to barter and trade for what I could offer them, and not been taxed on that.
Right.
But we do have the conveniences and the luxuries of being in this country.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
So I think it is a conscious choice of paying into it.
Yeah, so you're right, you do have free choice.
You do. Can I say one thing about
One last thing.
I think a 2-year-old exhibits free will when it has a temper tantrum on the floor and doesn't do what the parent wants it to do. So I think free will is kind of starts at a very young age.
Yes, it's beginning.
Yeah, it's beginning at a fairly young age. The temper, I'm not going to do that.
So maybe it's not bound by age then, is what you're suggesting.
Yeah,
I would suggest that free will is just always, because we're light.
Yeah.
And when you come into the soul or into the body or whatever, you still, every night you go with your planning council and decide what the next day's journey is going to be all about. And then you decide again, based on what happened, what's the next day's journey going to be all about. So you have free will all the time, whatever's playing out.
And how do I respond to what I experience?
Whatever
Okay, we have time. It's 11:11, so we need to wrap this up. One last thing.
We choose to be here.
Right. Even through the
Choose
life.
this human experience.
Yes.
So it starts right from the get-go.
In that birth experience, right? How many complete the birth experience, and how many say, "I'm out of here. I can't do it."
Change my mind.
Right? Yeah.
I just heard Trump's here. I'm out of here. Anybody have any final thoughts? We covered them all.
I have a final.
Let's hear it.
For me, free will, I guess, is like breathing. We have that ability. We don't have to think about the ability. We don't have to become aware of the ability. But when you do become aware, you can choose to hold your breath. You can choose to slow down your breath if you become aware that it's racing. So that is the choice in the free will.
This has been a very cool discussion.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just going to say.
It's your favorite line. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you for joining us online. We'll post this video on YouTube if any of you want to follow us there and get some of the nuggets out. Thanks for joining us.